Hello. Good evening. How are you? How are people? Having a bit of a chill hangout today in the middle of the week, trying out different things. I thought I would do more mending today because I have been postponing repairing these jeans for forever because I never want to do the things that I don't need to do if I can just hiding them and they don't really show. Hello. May be able to stay for the whole stream working, but hello and thank you for the streams, Kristine. Oh, I'm glad you are enjoying them. I'm quite enjoying them too. Getting to talk to you guys and hang out and sew and have a good time. I mean, we wouldn't be continuing them if we weren't enjoying them, so I'm very much enjoying this kind of interaction, this kind of interactive experience, getting to sort of engage with you in a very different way from videos and lives. And I see that I have things speaking out as I usually do, charming. But yeah, I have this I call it my sacrificial pair of jeans because I once inherited a lot of jeans, and as they started falling apart, I cut up one to use as patches, because when they're all indigo colored, even if they're lighter or darker, they kind of work. So that's what we're gonna do today, a bit of everyday clothes repair, because I do wear jeans and I shouldn't even really, but I will anyway. I shouldn't even really show you how bad they get before I'm like, oh fine, I guess I will patch them up, because they don't really show, do they? It's not super visible, but I guess we shall have to do the thing. Try to improve on things. Hello from Finland. Hello. Welcome back, and I hope you are having a good day. We are having a semi-cloudy, nice, still pretty warm day, which is quite nice. I think we shall cut this piece over here. I've almost taken half of a leg, so like one leg piece trouser worth of scraps so far, so we are slowly working our way through this one, but it will last you a long time before you need a new sacrificial pair of jeans. So if you have a lot of jeans, because they do tend to show up in secondhand shops, so I did usually end up buying things like that, I do recommend having one that you just sort of take for scraps. I dropped the Final Fantasy 9 developer stream for this. I don't know what to say to that. That sounds like such a... No wait, Final Fantasy 14. I can read Roman numerals sometimes. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14. But you dropped it for this when I'm just sitting here chatting to you, just, you know, no fancy effects, no nothing. Well, welcome. I hope you have a good time. It's been the second mending stream in a row now. I've been knitting in some of the other ones, but this is a good excuse for me too, I have to admit. I've been putting off darning these trousers for so long because there's so many other things I would rather be doing, but when I'm sitting down to chat with you anyway, and I want something to do with my hands that isn't something I'm filming for a video or something I am making outside or anything like that, then this is the perfect little practice project to do that isn't really brain work. So thank you for enjoying the streams that encourage me to actually repair some things that need to be repaired. What are you all working on? Do you have any exciting new projects going, or are you trying to take care of what you have like I am, which can sometimes feel a little bit less glamorous depending on what you do and how you do it? I always really admire people who do really amazing and creative visible mending and turn it into flowers and suns and gorgeous things. And a lot of the time I feel like, oh, I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to repairing things. I want them done and, you know, back in service, back in my wardrobe, because usually the things that I'm wearing out are the things I am wearing. So if I spend a long time repairing them, that is a long time I don't have my thing to be wearing, because of course I do tend to wear the same things over and over and over again. Good afternoon from France. Good afternoon. The sun is still high here, but it's decidedly, you know, the latter end of the day when we start winding down a little bit and chilling out. And hello, hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is well too. Thank you for well wishing on everyone. That is one patched pin. Let us address the biggest problem area first, because that is probably the most precarious straight away. These are so bad. Oh. But yeah, jeans aren't like my favorite. I would really like to make myself some pairs of slacks and things like that. Should I reinforce this first? I probably should, huh? I would really like to make myself some nice loose pair of slacks. I have some pajama pants that I would like to make that are, you know, nice and loose and comfortable with just a drawstring in the waistband that I'm considering copying and making nice and comfortable. But then there is also the consideration that jeans are so very available. They tend to be in all charity shops and all, when people do wardrobe hauls and they hauls and they give me stuff that no longer serve them, there tends to be some jeans included. They're just so ubiquitous. So I've sort of just accepted that jeans are useful, and it's probably gonna be something that I have in my life for the foreseeable future. Currently sewing on a tiny pair of overalls for a ragdoll I made a couple of days ago. That sounds like an excellent little pastime. Very, very nice. I noticed a small hole on one of my tops, but I don't know how to fix it discreetly. It's really thin knit, like t-shirt but lighter. Oh yeah, those can be really challenging if you want it done discreetly. But if you don't mind something visible but want something easy, a lot of sewing and haberdashery shops will have patches that you can just sew on so that it looks, you know, a machine embroidery patch, which is not discreet at all, but at least it looks sort of professional-ish. I just tend to lean into it because I know I can't do it invisibly. And I lean into it and I embroider a leaf or something. But suppose if you really wanted to, you could find some matching sewing or embroidery thread and really try, but I feel like the room for failure when you actually try to match something is so much harder than just doing it in a way that draws attention to it as if it was an intentional feature, like embroidering something over it. But that really depends on the item in question and the reason things need to be a little bit discreet. Hello from the US. Hello, Catherine. Welcome. It's a bit of we have a lot of things to fix today that we have tried to fix, and then I had to run and set this up, and we were still in the middle of a conversation, so I'm a little bit frazzled, but I can already feel my pulse and everything calming down again, just sitting to rest and chat with you and having a good time. That is probably something that I need after a day of running about, so that is nice. I'm attempting the making of a custom dress form. Very shabby, low-cost materials, but I'm excited. That sounds very exciting. I have seen people make custom dress form, but they usually seem to be like kits and quite expensive. So they take up a bit of space, don't they? So I haven't really prioritized it. Also because I don't think most people have dress forms, so it's how can we do this without one? But I really do. They do look like a lot of fun if one manages to get one. So that sounds like a really fun project. For now, I'm still working on my giant sashiko project. Well, I mean, it's kind of in the name, isn't it? If you're going to do a giant project like that, they will be taking up a significant amount of time. I actually got a tablecloth from a friend that they found in an estate sale. And it's this beautiful, like, blue flowers, nice big tablecloth, white, all the, like, you know, the kind of embroidery kit where everything has just been printed onto the tablecloth already. So it is just to sit down and embroider it, but it's going to be such a big project. It would take forever. Maybe that's a live stream project that we can do like next 10 years or something, if I just do a little bit here and there. Who knows, maybe we would get to the end after a while. I think a piece of this might actually have fallen off. That's how long I've been going without fixing this. Bad streamer. Hello, timely stream. I'm knitting an emotional support chicken modeled after a familiar in a D&D story. That sounds fantastic. That sounds really nice. But yeah, the live streams are a little bit of a pop-up thing to see what works and how things work out. But I do try to plan them out in the live streams in our Discord so that people have a little bit of a advanced warning if they want it. So I shall share it just in case someone hasn't seen it, but we haven't done a regular day or anything like that schedule because I don't want it, like in some ways I would like a schedule, but in other ways I would feel bad if it was like a time that didn't work for some people every time. At least if we are like moving it around a little bit on occasion, then my assumption is that occasionally it will work for some people, even if it can't work all of the time. I don't know if I'm overthinking things. I do tend to do that, but that is part of the thinking anyway, since we cannot have a time that works for both the US, Europe, and Australia at the same time, because there are just so many time zones to take into account, and then people have different sleep schedules and all of the things. Hello from France. Hello, Marianne. This is a nice day to be taking a little bit of a rest. Finishing up breakfast now, gonna sew soon. Probably mending. I used to repurpose jeans when they got too worn out, but I don't wear them anymore. Yeah, there are long times when I've gone without wearing them because they can be a bit stiff. There, again, I would really like to have things like slacks instead, but they are so very ubiquitous that I end up wearing them anyway, because I will end up inheriting them and or something. And I don't want to, when I don't want to wear out other clothes, I will reach for them because I don't mind when they get ragged and worn out. But then I just end up wearing them out of habit, not just to preserve other clothes from getting too much wear and tear. The emotional support chicken always makes me smile. Me too. I've seen some fantastic ones. Absolutely support that kind of crafting shenanigans. We could all use a little bit of emotional support. Animals, couldn't we? It's pretty delicate and has lace and stuff. I might just do a woven darn and hope it's not too visible. Yeah, if it's a very delicate, that is a challenge. Hopefully if you can just find a thread that is close-ish in color, that would help a lot. So I wish you luck if you try to do something like that. It can be a bit scary if it's a delicate garment. Tuning in on my break, just took care of 2 colonies of naked mole rats. Mice are up next. That sounds interesting. I hope they are behaving. Then again, when are our animal friends always behaving? They are very cute though, they are very sweet. Sut was sleeping in the chair and I felt really bad for moving her in order to talk to you, but she seems to be happy enough snoozing in her, well, one of her favorite spots for with the cardigan on the workroom. So that is nice. This folder is really big. I do think that parts of the fabric might have actually fallen off or just been worn to the bone. So we are gonna have some work here in order to get this back to function again, but I suppose that is the nature of trying to keep things alive for another season. I still haven't done the thing that Victorians talk about where they turn things inside out though, because denim is so different on the inside. But I suppose it very much depends on the fabrics. We are about to have ads, so we are just going to take a bit of a break so that no one misses out on anything. I will throw a glance at the clock so that we are running for approximately 30 seconds, just chilling and taking a break, ensuring that none of our friends miss out on any salient discussion points or comments or anything like that. I'm trying to get better at this, minding the ad clock after I figured out where to find it. That was a whole thing, because there are surprisingly a lot of knobs and buttons to watch out for when streaming, as opposed to just uploading a video and calling it a day. Well, there is a little bit more to it than that, but you know what I mean. It's different. Only a few seconds long though, then probably other people are back too. We've been breaking for about a minute, so I will hope that everyone is back from their ad break. If you had one, welcome back. I am working on, if you get an ad, I am working on pausing for ads, and I get a little clock now, or a little timer, that tells me when an ad is coming, and then I just sort of count half a minute to a minute, and we just sort of chill. So if you get an ad, you don't miss anything. We pause for ad, we wait for everyone in the community to join us. And that is something that I want to do. The only reason I didn't do it in the beginning of trying to do this whole live streaming thing was that I didn't know how. But now I have found a way to set up the things and the tools in a way that I can see when an ad is coming. So it is okay to skip it. Yes, it is very much okay to skip it, Catherine. Don't worry about that. You are still I'm still grateful that you are supporting the channel sort of by getting ads. You are in a very real way supporting the channel, so I am working on getting used to pausing for ads, because that is something that I want to do for the community so that nobody is left behind. It just takes a little bit for me to get used to it. So thank you for being patient as I learn the ins and outs of this whole thingamajig. But yeah, so let's see where we were in terms of comments. I have several dresses that I wear when I want work clothes instead of fussing with pants. If everyone gave me jeans, I would make work dresses out of them. That's an excellent idea. I like that idea, absolutely. I see so many people making so many creative things with jeans, because again, there are so many of them. So we do like repurposing things. I love my YouTube Premium, no ads, plus I watch a lot of YouTube, so it's worth it. Yeah, I have to admit, we have YouTube Premium in this household as well, so sometimes I forget that there are so many ads, but we do have it, and it's very nice. It feels very luxurious. And then I visit other people and I'm like, oh, ads everywhere. I forgot they were a thing. But we very much still want to make sure that everyone in the community are with us. At least sometimes I might miss or forget, or like not look at my screen and see the ad pop up, but I try. I will very much try. And now that I have the timer, I see when they are coming, which is a great help. But yeah, these modern jeans with probably a little bit of elastane, especially like, I feel like women's jeans, they're so thin. And there were studies noticing this too. It's that women's jeans, even the same cut, is a thinner fabric than men's jeans, which is frustrating because they wear out so rapidly. Ads are annoying, but it only costs me a few seconds to support the creators who post content. Premium sounds very luxurious indeed. Yes, thank you for people who support the channel by watching the ads. But yeah, don't feel bad when you skip them. That is something that you are absolutely allowed and encouraged to do. But yeah, having the premium is very luxurious. It feels like a very luxurious splurge, I will admit. Not a necessity, to be sure, but luxurious. But yeah, how is everyone's May treating you? We are almost exactly midway. In Norway there is a big day tomorrow. We have our national day. It's a bit of a big deal. School bands and children will walk in parades and play music, play band music. And I hear it's unusual to other countries that it's not a military parade at all. It is largely school children and various organizations and clubs, and like you would have if there was a karate club, martial arts in your city, they would be walking. If you have a dance club, maybe a bridge club, other card games. So it's it can be useful when you move to a new city if you watch the 17th of May parade, because that'll tell you a lot about what you can expect to find in the city, what sort of clubs might pique your interest, what sort of people are here, what they value, which can be very helpful. Like a lot of the time people just join to have fun, but yeah. And of course the children get hot dogs and ice cream and have a good time. And I was a band kid, so it was very much a hectic schedule from morning till evening, with first, playing fanfares in the morning and walking with the school children in the parade and going to the larger city and doing parades there and playing music all the while until we finally got to go home, and we would actually, that was one of the days we would grab a takeout pizza from the neighboring pizzeria, and then we would collapse on the couch, utterly exhausted. And that was my 17th of May, and other people have very different experiences. But it is a pretty big day in Norway. That is pretty celebrated. You wish we had that instead of military stuff? Yeah, I hear it's very unusual to have long parades with no military stuff involved. Like the most militarized anything is the marching bands, and they of course have uniforms and stuff like that, so maybe look a little bit militaristic, but they're all about music, so it's a bit different. But it's a lot about the children and the schools marching and that kind of thing. Hello from Canada. Hello. Welcome. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you have something cozy to fiddle with your hands, or just chilling out, having a chill time with everyone and just having a good time. Equally encouraged, both of them. Even though this is called a crafting and chill stream, there is no obligation to be doing anything. You can also just hang out and chill and maybe have it as a noise in the background and then go around and doing stuff. Good morning from Southern California. Good morning. Welcome. We are chilling out. But yeah, it's been a bit fun. I suppose it's representative, although I wasn't expecting it, that this one and the last stream were both mending streams, but I also feel like it's a little bit illustrative of trying to take care of your clothes, that we aren't always making new things. Sometimes we are actually repairing the things we already have made or inherited or such like. Hello from Japan, midnight. Hello Nao-san. It's very late in Japan, so I hope you are not too tired. We have community parades in early December with bands pre-Christmas when children get out of school for summer. Interesting. That is quite interesting. We don't have parades in Norway in December, but a lot of the bands will usually like do shows before early in December, music and stuff, as it's getting darker outside and winter very much is coming if it has not arrived already, and snow and festivities and winter solstice season and all the music and all of the things and all of the fun stuff that we enjoy. So I think that is the two main things. And when I was in school band, was you had the 17th of May parades, and then you had the slow, leisurely psalms of December. Did we have anything else? Sometimes you would go on trips and play music for that, but I think they were the primary ones. I mean, school children practicing only a little bit can't have concerts all of the time. Yeah, we did sometimes have concerts. That is true. So I'm noticing that even though my thinking, because I fall asleep after 9 p.m. and I just don't function, think that I'm trying to accommodate both Australians and Americans by doing streams sometimes in the morning for me and sometimes in the afternoon, evening for me. You show up from all over the world anyway, be it midnight or 5 in the morning, or so maybe I am really overthinking things and you will just show up anyway, but I don't know. I kind of enjoy both time zones for talking to you. In the morning I'm a little bit more tired, my voice is a little bit more raspy, and in the evening I feel like it's a very nice chill thing to end the workday on. You know, I've been editing videos or writing scripts, and then I get to sit and chat with you a little bit and just have a moment of rest that I do tend to forget to take those, and these feel like, even though I am, you know, talking to you and this is a part of the channel and everything, it feels much more restful than a lot of other things I do with the channel and with the community and in talking to you and everything. So I think it might be technically classified as work, but it also feels like a bit of a break after I've set up the computer and the everything on my poor precarious ironing table. That's probably not the safest setup, but it seems to work. It doesn't seem too bad. The camera is on a tripod and it's just the laptop sitting on the ironing board, so I think it's not too unsafe. I haven't had any wobbliness that's made me scared for my workstation, but I'm not even sure what I would get instead that would be equally as portable and easy to move around. Oh well, we do support using what you already have. Yeah, do you have any fun darning stories or mending stories? Or it is very popular with visible mending these days, but of course historically less visible mending was very much the rage. You wouldn't really want to show people necessarily if there was a mend. Do you have a preference? Do you like to try to apply your skill to make it an invisible mend, or do you like to make it really visible, you know, embroider a flower or just a really contrasty color, or make it super obvious? Or do you like to see how well you can hide it and sort of play with technique and play with colors and matching and different things and just see what you can do? Because I have a little bit of fun with both of them. I mean, I have to admit, the reason I do blue on blue for jeans is that it's, you know, the usual, that there area where the thighs rub together between the legs that is the problem, and I don't really want to do a lot of contrast mending there because it's not a super, you know, I don't want to draw a lot of attention to that particular area, so there I feel like it's very nice to just do a blue on blue patching that even though the patches are, you know, obvious if you look for them, they don't really glare at you from the other side of the room that like there is a different thing here. But when I do shirt and stuffs, I do tend to do just silly contrasty stuff for everyday clothes. But I just got the supplies to dye with indigo. I'm going to give it a go tomorrow. Hopefully it goes well. I'm going to try dyeing a sweater's quantity of yarn. That sounds super exciting. Best of luck with that. I hope you let us know how it goes. That sounds like a lot of fun. I wanted to try indigo darning because there's so much chemistry involved, and the geeky in me is just like, yes! Fiber arts and science are best of friends. Then says it depends on the item of clothing, to be honest. Yeah, that was what I was realizing too as I was thinking about it. It really depends on what and where the mend needs to happen and different things. Invisible mend for me, yeah. Both of them are really fun. There is just so many different ways to mend clothing. I always find that a bit amusing as well, that there are so many different techniques and tricks and sneaky little tips to make it look nice. If it's casual clothing, the louder and more colorful the mend is, the better, in my opinion. That is a good rule of thumb, like fun clothes, fun darns, or at least casual. Yeah, I could see that being a good rule of thumb, absolutely. It really depends on what I'm mending. I'm much more creative with my own items, but I love mending my roommate's things the least visibly possible and wait for her to notice. Oh, that is sneaky. That is sneaky in a very fun way. It is very nice of you to help mend your roommate's clothing in that way, especially if you do it secretly without them knowing at first. But yeah, I will admit I am the same in that way. I don't really mind really colorful things for my own stuff, but if I'm mending for someone else, it feels a little bit different. But then I do also tend to talk to them about their expectations and what they want. If they want something that is just loud, or if they want something a lot more subtle and subdued. Relaxed clothes, I don't mind visible, but more fancy things I don't want to draw attention to the mend because I want attention to be on the lace, etc. Yeah, I can understand that. That is a reasonable distinction. Now I'm trying to think of how I don't have a lot of fancy clothes. But yeah, I probably would be trying to do things like you see with skirts, where they will draw thread from the felled seams to pull out, or from the hem, and use that thread itself to mend so that you get the same color, which is, yeah, interesting. And I really like that as a possibility to have that. I want to do that at some point, just to show that it is possible, because how fun is that? Just like pulling out some thread from the cloth itself to darn itself with. I find that really cool. And we are getting ads again in about 10 seconds, so we shall have another bit of a break. Don't worry, if you get ads, you don't miss anything. We pause for ads. I think that's about 40 seconds if the ads on YouTube are as fast as they seem to be for some of you. Welcome back if you got ads. Don't worry, you don't miss anything. And to be honest with you, it actually feels kind of nice for me to remind myself to take a break as well during the ad breaks, because I also need to be reminded of that and not just chat non-stop at you and all of the things. She knows if I go in a mending frenzy, her things can be mended too, and she's told me she's okay with it as long as I don't feel obligated to. I like that balance. That's a very nice boundary to be like, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. I like that as a general rule. Yeah, I have a similar thing with spouse, to be honest. Because sometimes they really want the men to be invisible and sometimes they don't care, so it's important to talk to them and make sure that I'm like, okay, is this one of those items or is this one of those items? The way you deal with ads is a great reminder to sip a bit of tea, water. Yeah, for me too. I'm noticing that I absolutely get a benefit from it as well, from reminding myself to do that. Hello, madam. Would you like to join me? Hi. That was like magic. You said ad, 10 seconds and Shazam an ad. That is quite funny. Yeah, YouTube gives me a little timer that counts down and on my end, but what I would have preferred was, of course, you can't know that because ads are regional, but it would be nice if they also gave me a timer for how long the ads are running for. But instead I just sort of look at the clock and go, I think most of you are back now, fingers crossed. But yeah, it also reminds me to sip tea and stuff, and that is equally important for me. There's also a social element, like when you look sick or disabled, people judge you more easily for looking not put together. Very big point. Scare quotes, very real. And it's hard enough to get any respect already. That is a very good point. That is such an important consideration. Unfortunately, classism is very real, and we all know people associate visible men with. Yeah, that is very true. That we all exist in the world that is, not the world that we wish existed, and that is always something that we need to think about in dealing with different scenarios. That is a very good point, that some of us have a much stronger need to appear professional and put together in order to not get treated poorly, which it shouldn't be that way, but we have to accept that that is how it is, and that is something that needs to be thought about, absolutely. I just tried laminating 2 door signs, one on the outer door telling no ads, nicely drawn, the other on the inner door telling there are cats in there in case of an emergency. That is a nice thing to do. Very nice idea. Although in my experience, people who want to advertise to you tend to do so anyway, so I wonder if they will actually be deterred by such a sign. But also, if you look really put together, some people don't think you can be struggling. Yeah, it's the balance, isn't it? Like, put together enough that you can be taken seriously, but not so much that you couldn't possibly be disabled or sick. I once saw, I think it was a TikTok, where someone talked about how it's difficult. It's a very difficult balance to thread, especially like if you're going to your doctor, because you need to look like someone from approximately their class, their socioeconomic standard, having a bit of a rough day. But you don't want to look like someone, like if they are middle class, and you don't want to look like working class, because that is sort of too far from their... It sucks that we had to take these things into consideration, but here we are. Yeah, we have a really good doctor, and I really don't want to swap in, even though she's now hours away, but it is just so awesome that it's just... I know how difficult it can be to be taken seriously and to be listened to if you are unfortunate with your doctor and you get one that don't believe that, you know, migraines are a thing, or that this and this is really as painful as you say it is because you're here talking to me, so how could you possibly be sick? And also I worry that if I swap doctors and I get one that is less helpful, they would interfere with my meds that are working and helping me to have a work-life balance. And that I would not be very happy if something were to change that, because we finally found something that works. Yes, the no ads work. They actually have to take that in seriously, otherwise I can make them have consequences. Interesting. That is very interesting. That makes sense, that if you put up a sign about it, they actually would have to respect it. That if they have laws in place to address that, that makes sense to me. Oh, why is it always when we darn and mend trousers, there's always a point where you're trying to do it when it, like, no grip is really comfortable. You end up with a bunch of cloth just bunched up in your hands and nothing really works in order to get a good look on things. And we make it work anyway. But I hope people are having a reasonably good day. It's never the expectations that everyone should always be having the best day of their life, because that is completely unrealistic, but I will settle for a neutral or neutral positive. That seems to be a good place to be. Also, it seems really exhausting if you ran around being ecstatic all the time. I can't hold on to any one emotion if it's a strong emotion for a long period of time, because I just get exhausted. I don't know how some people do it, but I suppose they get energy from the emotion rather than feeling drained like I do. Because we are all so very different in how we interact, I suppose, react to our emotions. So glad you're streaming as I wake up. Well, good morning. Merry Thursday morning to you. Merry middle of May. Merry time of day. Morning, apparently. It's glorious afternoon weather here, and Soot is snoozing on my lap, and I should be disturbing her because then she'll probably run away because she wants to be sleeping right now. Cats are very nice like that. I feel like there is something to, you know, the simplification, I suppose, but the stereotype that it can be healing for a lot of us to have cats, because a well-treated cat will have healthy boundaries, and then you get to see what that looks like, which Soot definitely does. She is very patient with me and she likes snuggles, but if she doesn't want to be on my lap, she won't apologize. She will just jump off, and off she goes on her merry adventures, and there is something very freeing about that. That she just is what she is. Mustn't disturb the voice supervisor? Indeed. She's snoozing right now, which I suppose I should be grateful for, because if she's snoozing, she is not chewing on the microphone cables. But I do also hide them under the blanket just in case. And yes, I'm still wearing a blanket. I suppose I don't really need a blanket right now. It is getting warm enough, but there is something just really cozy about wearing a blanket when it's not too warm. You just go, oh, it's way too warm for this. My shawl color is coming along. The rows are getting shorter, but flipping more often, of course. That sounds nice. That seems nice to sort of start in that way, instead of when I start doing shawls. It always starts with the small end, and then of course you end up having very long rows by the end of it. But doing it like that must be very, very softly, or very nice to get to the point where everything goes fast. Wish my cat understood boundaries. I mean, the cats don't understand my boundaries, but that is on me. But my cat has very healthy boundaries for their own self. Like, if they don't like a situation, they will remove themselves from it. And when they want snuggles, they will ask for it. But my cat is not like that. I suppose that is a good analogy to real life, because my cat isn't responsible for my boundaries. I am, although I will admit, when they are crying in the middle of the night for attention, I do wish they understood boundaries a little bit better, but the analogy falls apart a little bit because there is a balance there, but yeah. But yeah, I suppose that is how I would look at it, that she's only responsible for her own boundaries, and I am technically responsible for my boundaries, although I will usually just let her lie in my lap and snooze and have a good time. And she is so cute. How am I supposed to lock her out of my workroom when I'm trying to work? Sometimes I have to, if I'm working on anything where where it's not safe for her to walk around, like if the pins are everywhere, or... And she gets so upset, because I mean she's used to being able to just walk around everywhere, so of course she will be upset at this change. And it always breaks my heart when I have to close the door and be like, no. And she's just sitting on the other end of the door crying for me to let her in again, and I feel so bad. But it's for your own good. Luckily those projects aren't too often. A common issue, cats only understand cause and effect. I've taught one cat that making things fall at night will not get him attention. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't respond to those things, because then they will realize that is how they get attention. Which can be very challenging. You really want to tell them to stop doing the thing. Our youngest, Embla, has this habit of, she will run around crying at like 5:30 in the morning. And of course the problem is that I usually get up at like 5:30 or 6 in summer because it's light and I just wake up early. But then I'm sort of rewarding her for crying by getting up and giving her attention and being awake, which is what she wants, and it's a difficult balance because I would rather she didn't cry all morning and wake us up, but it can be challenging. I'm thinking I'll work from my hammock beneath a big leafy tree today. The weather is gorgeous and I love sewing outside, though I do have actual job work to do today as well. It's balance, isn't it? But that sounds very lovely. Trees are amazing. I love trees. I want more trees. I want to plant loads of trees and have an amazing place full of trees eventually. But one thing at a time. I wish I was more able to work outside. I do it sometimes, but I always have to be wary of how bright it is. But it is very lovely when the weather is nice. To be able to sit in the shadow of a tree and just feel the wind rustle and everything sort of buzz and hum and move around you. And then come back to the real world and do some work and have a good time. Alright, that is one patch. We are far from done, but we are getting somewhere. We still have more left to do. This is getting threadbare. It is... won't be able to repair her that much longer without making larger repairs, but every time I repair her she holds up a little bit longer. But it's the typical thing of thin fabrics, isn't it, where when you repair them, they start wearing out in the seams of the repair, which is super frustrating. But what can you do? You're near a lot of trees? Yes, there are a few trees where I am in the sagebrush steppe. This ecosystem has its own beauty, but forests are my main love. Yeah, Norway is one big forest with mountains. It's you usually aren't very far from a forest of some kind, so it's a very forested system. It's very nice, which is very nice for me because there's a lot of shade. So a steppe system would be very different for me. Would be cool to experience, would be cool to see. We do have, I think the only thing comparable where there aren't a lot of trees is like the hills, like you have the plains on top of the mountains, because when you're on top of the mountains and you go past the tree line or very high up, trees just become bushes, they become very short. And it's super cool because we would usually, if we drive north, we would drive over the mountain. There is a mountain pass, so you would get up to those plains those mountainous plains, and you would see, and you can just have the most amazing super long view because all the trees are itty bitty little bushes. It's super cool, really nice. Madam, you are doing the thing again, where you are sleeping so soundly that your bum is sliding further and further off my knees. Before you know it, you are gonna wake up falling off my lap. See if I'm just gonna... Sorry I woke you, madam, but you were falling off. And you don't like it when you fall off. You tend to dig your claws into my knee because you wake up and you are scared. So it's easier for everyone if I just grab you. But yes, most of Northern Europe, as far as I'm aware, at least the places where I've been, are, very much covered in mountains, and it's very much what we were used to, and it's very nice. But this goes into something that we talk about on a lot of the streams, is that whatever you are used to is the thing that you are used to. So that is the thing that is nice and awesome, and the thing that is like normal for you can be very strange to someone else. And neither is wrong. That is one of the big things I got from uni, is normal is just an illusion. Everyone else will have very different experiences from you. And let's see, what elevation does the tree line start at? I will have to answer that after the ads, because there are some ads coming, and we will take a break for them ads. It's the wonkiest I ever did cut a piece, but well. Do you hear someone? Yeah? Someone else is walking around. If you watch the whole ad, do you get income stream? I get income from ads inserted. I am not going to encourage you for any particular behavior surrounding ads. We are inserting ads because it does help. I wish we didn't have to, but it does help pay my bills. And I'm grateful to those of you sort of who get ads, and in that way is in a very real way supporting the channel. But you can skip them, you can do whatever, like, I'm grateful that you accept having the ads in the first place, and I try to make them as undisruptive as possible. Like, I try to pause for ads, in the beginning there were a lot more ads than I was comfortable with, and so I was revising the lives, and I saw how many ads could be appearing for some viewers, and I thought it was a lot, so I went in and I turned it down manually, because I don't want you to be inundated with ads all the time. Like, YouTube was suggesting an ad every 5 minutes, and I thought that was a little bit of an exaggeration. That is not something that I want you to have to experience. That would be very disruptive to your viewing this experience, but you are supporting the channel, so as far as I'm able to, you won't miss out on any content. I will do my best to pause the stream and wait for you. So don't worry, and also you don't have to wait for the ad to finish. You can skip it. That is not a problem. That is not something I will ever encourage you in either direction or another. But back to what we were thinking about, which was trees and tree lines, and what elevation does the tree line start there? Here in the Rockies, it's around 1,100 feet or 3.3 thousand meters, well, 3,350 meters. That is interesting because the tree line moves, and I mean, you know that, but it moves quite a lot within Norway. I was trying to find a number for the south of Norway. Maybe I should do Dovre, because in Tromsø, when I lived in Tromsø, the tree line is very far down. It's only 200 to 600 meters, and you can see it from when you are when you are by the coast. You can see the tree line up in the mountains because it's so cold. So it's fairly close. It's a super cool. So you can reach, going for a hike, you can reach the tree limit in a day, no problem. But further south, it is a lot further up because it's warmer, so the trees grow for a lot faster. And of course, in Norway we also have a distinction between tree line and forest line, because the forest line stops before the tree line stops. The tree line is usually like 20 to 30 meters above the forest line, where you would see dense forest, but the tree line itself is a little bit higher up. But I couldn't find the number for further south, but I'm assuming it's somewhere like, I seem to remember something like 1,300. Oh wow, that's so low. Yeah, it's because it's so far north. It's because Tromsø is in the Arctic, so it's so cold, so sort of the belt of tree growth room is a lot more limited than further south, where it's a lot milder and less wind. But that is quite far north. Again, I was trying to find it for where we are currently, and I wasn't really able to find a number, just like I did with Tromsø, which is a bit frustrating. So it's like, why aren't you able to give me... Aha! Right, the highest tree limit in Norway is in Jotunheim, which is 1,200 meters over the sea. And that is the highest, so not a lot of things is higher than that. And the shortest is like just a few hundred meters. And some places in the really far north, it says that there is not a growing climate for trees, so the tree limit is effectively 0. Which is kind of funny. But that is the same in Svalbard, which is an island in the Arctic, where a lot of research gets done with climate stuff, because it's so far north. And also coal mining and other less savory things, but what can you do? And they don't have any trees. It's super weird. I've worked there a few times, and when you hear the wind howling outside, you hear it howling through the buildings, you hear it howling outside your window, and then you look out the window and there are no visual cues for the wind, because it's just a flat plain, and then there are the buildings. And in winter, that is all you see, just land and buildings. And in summer there is some heather, like low heathery bushes, small plants. And it's, if you've ever been in an Arctic region, that is the most adorable thing about is that everything in the Arctic, because it's cold, because the seasons are shorter, because everything is harsher, getting nutrition is more difficult, you have a lot of the same plants. Like you see a lot of similar plants to what I would expect from the mainland, but they're tiny. They're itty bitty. They're tiny versions of themselves. They're so cute. They're adorable. Svalbard, Cecilia? I'm afraid I don't know that reference, but I'm glad you are having fun. I helped study rock Termien from Svalbard. Never got to go. We just received specimens to our lab here in Idaho, but I've always wanted to go. It is a very special place. I will say that. It's very unique, and the community as well is pretty interesting, because you have everything from students making, ends meet, to professors making a fairly good wage, and other and anything in between. And there's only one grocery store, so of course they have to stock everything from fancier foods or fancier canned foods, I would say. There is not a lot of veg and fruit, and it's fairly expensive because they have to transport it all that way. but everything from, you know, the cheapest brand article food to more pricey stuff. But yeah, definitely a very interesting community. And from the mining community, they have the habit of taking their shoes off when they enter buildings, all sorts of buildings. So even the university center, you are expected to bring your own pair of indoor shoes, and there's a big wardrobe type area where you all take off your shoes and everyone just finds a new pair of their indoor shoes. And it's a very high trust. It used to be, back in the day, it used to be that no one locked their car, because if someone encountered a polar bear, they knew that cars are usually unlocked, so they could find one and get into one while they called for help. But nowadays they can no longer do that, which is a bit sad. The times are changing in that way. The ptarmigan eat a lot of growing willow buds. Interesting. Hungry little creatures. Svalbard misspelled, and Cecilia is another YouTuber who shows us life on the island. Ah, nice. Yes, I might have encountered her shorts on occasion. That is very cool. I have seen some people show their life from Svalbard, so that might very well be that person. Very, very cool. But yeah, that is one of my favorite things. I say this a lot, but that is one of my favorite things, absolutely, about the internet, is being able to see how other people live and walk and move and think from all over the world in all sorts of scenarios. Things that I would never see and encounter, and they can show me. I think that is super, super cool. Really cool feature of people being able to, like, in short form, you don't need a media company, you don't need a movie company or anything. You can just grab your phone and film it and show people straight away. I like that idea, not tracking stuff in. Yeah, it gets really muddy, and really, like, either in winter you're tracking a lot of snow in, and of course that becomes a lot of water and slippery and dangerous for people to walk in, and in spring it gets really muddy, and so it's definitely a good thing to have that. I would love to have indoor shoes at work, but it's not a habit here. Yeah, it's not a habit on mainland Norway either. It's specifically like a Svalbard thing, or Longyearbyen, I should say. I don't think it's a thing in other, necessarily in other settlements, but that might be changing too. I don't know. We do have. I do enjoy wearing my indoor shoes or slippers all winter, though. It's keeps my feet nice and warm. Why are you not? I want you to fit where I want you to fit. I have knit for an hour, so time for bed to me. I will catch when the stream in the morning. Well, good night. Have a good sleep. I hope you have a good time and a good sleep and a good everything. Has it been an hour already? My goodness, it has. Well, good night. And why is it always the time moves so quickly when I'm just sitting here chit-chatting to you and trying to make stuff, as I encourage you to do as well. And somehow time just flies by. I have to go craft well. Craft well to you too, and have a good whatever you are going. I wish you well on your adventures on to do other stuff. I always feel like patching should be really fast, that I'll just do a patch in like 10 minutes, and then 1 hour later I'm wondering what happened and why it always takes me so long to repair any of my clothes. Oh, come on. This is why I don't like working with elastic fabrics, because they keep moving around. Very rude. Something like that, maybe. I clearly pulled some of the repairs a little bit too tightly together, so we will just have to live with that, and there is still a significant amount of work to be done. Hi, are you coming back? Hi. But I hope your Thursday is going well for you. Furry friend or no? Can you hear her? She has the quietest purrs. They're super cute. And she really likes this spot above her head. Or under her chin. This spot on top of her head is usually very safe. Very safe. Emma is not as big of a fan of that spot, which is, again, it's fun to be reminded of how they are different. She got to try a little bit of a strawberry the other day, and like many other fruits, it was wildly successful. And when Embla runs over to see what Sud is eating, and she realizes it's fruit, she's like, "Why are you eating that? That is not food." So one is a fruit bat, and one is not. It's very sweet. Will you help me mend my trousers? This is one of the darns that I will always postpone, though, I do admit, because doing that thigh chafing mend is just so annoying because they wear out so fast. You feel like you've barely finished darning it before you have to do it again. And again and again. But I also like trousers. They're comfortable to wear and I feel safe in them moving out and about in the city and stuff, but man, do they take a bit of work to keep them without too many holes everywhere. I'm trying to make bone broth and the internet is debating why, or whether to roast the bones first and why or why not, or how much to add of apple cider vinegar. Would you like to add your opinion? I don't really feel like I need to add my opinion because, let's see, YouTube and our esteemed chef Jan Kung, and let's see, bone broth. In a pressure cooker or in a not pressure cooker? Well, this is the one that is not the pressure cooker, but it also takes a long time. I don't know. I will share this anyway. We are getting ads in a minute. That is... yeah, the apple cider vinegar would help because there's so much calcium and stuff in.
Over the past decade or decade plus, I would say that bone broth has really fallen into the realm.
In our esteemed way. Did I put sound? I just exposed you to a lot of sound, didn't I, by playing the videos without thinking. Whoops. And let's see, where was I? This is the other one. This is Chef Jongkung making white stock, and he's really good. I really enjoy. Where did my thimble go? There. I really like what they're doing. We will have ads, so I guess we will have a break, even though I just feel like I had one. But I guess it is time for another hydrating break. Your dog also has a look of disapproval when you're eating things he doesn't like. Yeah, it's hilarious. I love it. Yeah, I've been making broth in the multi-cooker that I got as a gift just this winter, and I just usually plop my browns in the freezer until I have enough, and then I plop them in the multi-cooker, and then I top it off with water, and then I let it boil for 4 hours, and I end up with something like in between just stock and bone broth, because I see that it's getting cloudy and white from extracting stuff from the bones, but it isn't like full on bone broth, but it's still delicious and full of collagen and calcium and all the good things, and especially the color. Like the gelatin content is insane. It gets really solid, which I can't show everyone because some people find that really distressing, that their soup is solid when cold, which I just find like, yeah, this is a sign of good soup. But I have been enjoying that a lot more after I got the multi-cooker, I will admit. I wasn't super good about doing that before, but now that I can just plop my bones in the freezer while I wait for me to have enough, along with like vegetable cut-offs like carrot tops and peels of rutabaga or cabbage or what have you, and then I just plop them in the cooker and let the cooker do its thing. Oh, it's so much easier. Same with beans and legumes and stuff. Now that I can just plop them in the multi-cooker and just go away, I'm having a much easier time making them and eating them because I don't have to, babysit the pot, make sure it doesn't boil over or stop boiling, and it has been making that so much easier, which I really appreciate. Usually do half or quarter cup of apple cider vinegar for 1 pound of bones. However, if you're using cut bones like beef bones where marrow is exposed to apple cider vinegar, it's probably not as effective. That is a good point. I usually eat the marrow before, well, if it's cooked, but we usually cook the meat first and eat it or roast it and have you, and then we will save the bones for making delicious broth later. Sometimes I make broth, I suppose, or not broth, but soup with whole bones, but a lot of the times they are something we've already made something else out of. Mostly unrelated, but marrow is so good. Yeah, I like most foods. I have usually met food that I enjoy, so I can relate to that. But I do a good soup is very nice. It's getting too warm for soup and I will miss soup season, but it will come back. It will absolutely come back. The homemade broths in the risottos too, really, really nice. Along with a bit of vinegar. I don't usually have white wine on hand. We don't drink alcohol so much, so I will use things like white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar or other things in place of white wine, which is not what you're supposed to do, but it kind of gives a little bit of the tang with ingredients that I'm more likely to have on hand. So I don't know, it's probably better if you do it properly, but as an everyday meal, it does work. I am doing cut bones. I like that we're having science stuff. Maybe I shall try adding some vinegar to my broth as well, see how that affects the boiling. I haven't done that before. I would just add the bones and vegetables, and I'll add some bay leaves and star anise and those little red Chinese dates are super delicious. I really like them, especially with chicken broth. I think they're amazing. Jujubes, is that what they're called? Was that what? Anyway, they're really nice in chicken broth. I really enjoy them, along with other warming spices like star anise and... oh yeah, scallion tops are also good in broth. And other things. I do the bone collecting too. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier and a lot sort of less effort because you make a lot of broth in one go and then I can them up and then I have them for a while and then it's a while until the next time I do it again, instead of making a lot of small batches, which doesn't seem as energy efficient nor time efficient in any way, shape or form. To me, it mostly makes the apple cider vinegar makes it taste better and reduces the amount of scum I have to remove. That is as good a reason as any. When I make it in the multi-cooker, I usually don't get any scum. It just goes into the broth and makes it cloudy, which you maybe not be what you want, but I don't usually mind it. I could put it on a less bubbly setting if I wanted to and get a clearer broth, but I do so appreciate the accessibility of just clicking a button and having broth be ready in 4 hours later. And I will usually just boil the bones again and again throughout the day. Like I'll start in the morning and I'll boil it for 4 hours, strain it, put the bones back, another batch of water, boil it again, and I will get like, if I'm lucky, I'll get 4 rounds in a day before I have to go to bed. And I won't let it go overnight, and I will be like, okay, we have gotten what we want out of these bones now, because a fair bit does evaporate while it's in the multi-cooker on the high boiling setting. But then again, that is also concentrating my broth as it's going, so it takes up less space in the pantry, so I do not mind. I buy cut frozen bones at the farmer's market? Cool. I've never bought bones just as bones. I always feel like I can't afford buying bones just for broth. I usually look for a cheap cut of meat that is on offer or on sale or something, and just the cut that people don't like. Our landlord gave us a small piece of steak the other day, and I had to talk to someone to ask what they would suggest, and we ended up making a very nice wok with it, because I don't generally get the fancier cuts, you know, off the bone that you might make into a steak or something. I get the cheap, chewy stuff, like, well, oxtails aren't cheap anymore because they got popular, but that kind of, you know, high collagen, high work, high effort, lots of boiling to make it tasty, because they are more affordable. Great tips with the jujubes. If they're big, they're jujubes, and if they're little, they might be goji berries. Yeah, they're definitely jujubes. Goji berries are not the ones I'm thinking about. They're also very sweet and nice, but jujubes are delicious in chicken broth. Ooh, yeah, great idea with the jujubes. Yeah, I bought them again because I'd been watching Jungkook talk about them, and I wanted to try them. And I discovered when I made chicken broth with them and some other, you know, again, star anise and other spices like it, I suddenly got a broth that tasted like the powder you get when you know the cheap ramen packets in chicken flavor? That flavor. The jujubes helped my chicken broth get closer to that flavor. I was amazed. I was like, oh, this tastes more like that kind of chicken broth. Which I thought was a lot of fun, because I like that flavor. It's very, very nice. So yeah, when I do chicken broth, I usually lean towards Asian spices, because they are so delicious. So delicious. Jujubes are about 3 tablespoons in size. Yeah. Here I think they don't really call them anything here, because I don't know a lot of people that I know use them. We would just call them red dates, even though they aren't actually related to dates. But I will try to remember that they are actually called jujubes in English. But anyway, they are delicious. So yeah, I absolutely recommend. What else do I do? Well, I do the thing that people say is useless and add some bay leaves usually, but cloves. Yeah, cloves. Maybe some nutmeg? No. It's a bit too much work to grate it, but I do like star anise and peppercorns, and yeah, just a bunch of herbs and spices. Makes for a nice base broth. We try to avoid onions and like garlic and onion, otherwise I would add that, but it does make my spouse sick, so there are some things that we avoid. So I try to add flavor wherever I can in other ways, and the spices really help with that. I also like the curry paste. Right now we have the what is it called? It's pink. It's not red curry. It's not red, green, or yellow curry. It's one of the other ones, but it comes in the same can. It's more pink. Tom Kha? No. Brain, why are you like this? But it has shrimps on as a picture, and it's not too spicy. It's quite mild, and I just add it to everything. All sorts of things, because it's delicious. I almost used the whole box and need a new one soon. No, I don't think that is correct. It's a soup. It's a picture of a soup with shrimp and stuff on it. But it's very nice. I'm definitely going to buy more of that, because sometimes I find the curry paste is a little bit strong if it's, or some of the curry pastes are a little bit difficult to portion out when your spice tolerance is not the best. Do you cut up the jujubes? It sounds lovely in pork. Ooh, yes, that would be really lovely in pork. I will do that too if I have pork bones. That sounds delicious. I don't cut them up. I just plop them in. Just take a couple of them. Just, I don't know, 3, and just drop them in. But yeah, I definitely really enjoy those. It's interesting, that combination of pork and fruit, because we have that in Europe since medieval times. That, you know, that's a Christmas, you know, winter solstice dish that is relatively common in Norway. We have a couple of different ones. Is, you know, pork rib, the whole side, like the whole side of the rib, skin and all, fried, baked in the oven, and until you sort of bake it until the meat is tender, and then you make the fat crack up like, is it called chitlins in English? The pork crispy bits that you can buy in a bag. I might be completely off. Completely off in the wrong end on that one. But anyway, you make them like crispy, and then it's like a whole thing. And it's in my family and in many others as well, they would commonly be served with tangerines and prunes, in addition to like sauce and potatoes and other things, but especially the prunes, because there is something about, again, and this is something that has just been carried to today from medieval times when they were doing this, based on, I think, Greek theories about what was healthful in order to eat and protect the humors and make sure that you were balanced and not had any too much of anything. It's fascinating to learn about this stuff, how many traditions have been carried on for so long that we forgot where they came from. But yeah, pork and fruit, dried fruit, is a really classic combination, and for a reason. I've done pork combo jujube scallion as a broth combo. It works great. Oh, that sounds delicious. Yeah, seaweed in food and combo is super, super nice. Cracklings, possibly chitlins, pork rind over here, I think. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Except you're not having it as a separate thing. It's part of the whole slice of meat, which might sound weird to other people, and it's only made for the winter solstice. And if your family doesn't have that, they will often have sheep and lamb ribs instead, but then salted and steamed. It's very interesting. People can get very loud and opinionated about these things. And oh, chitlins are fried chicken intestines. Sorry, I think you mean fried skin. Those are chickaroons. Chitlins are common in soul food. Yeah, sorry, I don't have all my words in English for a lot of these foods. I do run into a lot of struggles with some of them. But yeah, cracklings works. Pork rind over here, or pork rind works. But as long as you know what I'm talking about. I run into the same issue with, usually trees are more or less alright to remember what word is in English, and then I look at wildflowers and I know what they're called in Norwegian, and I have no clue what they're called in English. Because when do you usually talk to your colleagues or other English-speaking friends about wildflowers? And birds. Birds can be a challenge. Muhaha, I finally finished the horizontal stitches. Now I have to do all the vertical stitches and diagonals. Yeah, but when I've done a little bit, I have a little sashiko book standing here. It's same with black work. If you do some of the traditional patterns, it's so satisfying. Like, congratulations for finishing that half, but I always found it so satisfying when you finish the first row and then you finally get to do the other way, and you finally see the pattern just blooming from doing the stitches. It's magic. It's super, super fun. So well done for getting that far, and now you will see how more to go. Actually, chitlins can be made from any intestines, but I've only ever had chicken, so my brain latches onto that. Interesting. Yeah, we don't have a lot of access to like a lot of different foods. You'll get generic Chinese, you'll get generic Greek, you'll get some kebab shops, pizza, of course, Italian. Some Korean is starting to pop up more and more, sushi places, but but there are still so much food that I wouldn't be able to get or even experience unless I went out of the country, because yeah, there aren't a lot of. More and more is coming, but there's still a lot of food that I have never seen or experienced. I would like to. I like trying new foods. It's always fun to see new experiences, and I feel like a lot of Asian food has such a focus on different textures, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, super cool. Interesting, in the US, jujubes are a hard-ish chewy candy. Cool. It's the difficult thing with language, isn't it? That the same words can mean different things. One of the chemistry professors that I knew liked to say that the UK and the US were two great nations divided by a common language, but as long as one tries to understand one another, I find that you can generally make do. But if people are determined to misunderstand each other, there's also nothing you can do. So either way. In the UK, in bags in pub, the crispy pork skin is called pork scratchings. On the joint out of the oven, the skin is called crackling. Interesting. So crackling probably then. Very cool. So many different words for similar type of food. But always getting to learn new things. Crackling is a fun word too, so I'm hoping that I will remember that. It's nice to see that we have so many people interested in food, because I do like food. And the group that I travel with for reenactment do a lot of food reenactment, and that is a lot of fun. And we will have ads again already, so we shall have a little breathing break. A large part of my people-pleasing tendencies is finding it very difficult to have a silent time while we are waiting for our friends to return from having ads, but maybe that is also good practice in a way, I suppose. But presumably they are back by now, so welcome back if you had ads. I'm struggling to be quiet because I feel like, one should be talking. Sometimes this can be difficult. In my region of the US, they sell jujubes as fruit at the farmer's market and jujube gummy candy in the candy store too. Cool. Does that mean you actually get them fresh? I've never seen them fresh here. I had a friend from Somalia who laughed at me about the dates we had here, because of course they're all dried, and she was like, yeah, it's nothing compared to getting them fresh. And I just have no idea, because I haven't even seen them not dry, even as delicious as they are dried. I can't imagine that they are even better fresh off the date palm. How awesome would that be? There is a Korean dessert made with jujubes called yasik, and there's a ginger and jujube tea too. I've tried both of them, and they are very tasty. That does sound delicious. I love to plop a bit of ginger in my tea as well, and it's so amazing. That does sound really good. It does sound like really nice and refreshing. Like not too strong. Oh yeah, they're dried at the farmer's market? That makes sense. I was curious because, the US spans such an enormous geographical area, so it could be that you had gotten some trees for it and were growing it. Maybe in other regions you are. Because, you cross so many biomes everywhere. Madam, you are yet again sliding slowly off my lap because your bum is facing the end of my knees. Let's see if you can survive while I finish up this patch. We aren't done, but at least we made progress. And sometimes that is all that matters. I think I saw someone made a tea with ginger and jujubes, and I can't remember where. It was probably a YouTube video of someone sharing that that's what their mother used to make them, so they made it when they wanted to feel comforted. Madam, your bum is sliding out. Yeah, don't look at me like that. I'm saving you from sudden sliding. You know, suddenly being on the floor, or, you know, claws in my knees. The seller grows and dries them herself. Wow, that is so cool. I've seen people dry persimmons, which also looks super tasty, and that is the opposite here. Here we only get persimmons fresh. I think because there are two kinds, aren't there, of persimmons? One that is the eating kind and one that is the preserving kind, or different. And we only have the eating kind here, which are super, super delicious. I really like them. But they also look super delicious when dried, because you would concentrate the flavors. I just like tasting foods. Food is amazing. Like, how many things haven't we as humans been able to find and cultivate to turn into something delicious? It's super, super fascinating. Just like with crafts, there's so much variation everywhere, and none are better, just all different and all very cool. Madam, I tried pulling you straight and you just insist on sliding straight back. It's almost that I want to let you just slide off. Yeah. But yeah, farmer's market and farming is hard. It's so essential and so challenging. Hats off to that. That is really, really tough work. And a lot of the times, not very, like a bit of thankless work, because people forget how essential of a worker they are, because they're so used to just going to the grocery store and buying food, and they forget that someone has to grow it. There is another YouTuber named Mangchi that has the recipes for those dishes I mentioned. That sounds amazing. I might check that out. Let's see, Mangchi. There are so many cool YouTubers out there doing so many cool things. Mangchi. There we go. Hope I'm pronouncing that correct-ish. Ooh, these look delicious. I'm definitely going to be watching this after. Ah, so many good things. I need to get myself to one of the Asian grocery stores soon, because I am running low on some very delicious things. I've been really enjoying the, what is it, the soybean, like the fermented soybean paste and garlic. Super delicious. And also the chili crisp. I'm getting more and more into that, which is surprising to me because I'm really weak about the spices, and yet it's very nice. There's something about it that is like not too spicy. I don't know. I am changing and I am here for it, but I'm also a little bit surprised. But there are so many good things. Oyster sauce, soy sauce, dark soy sauce. I really like a lot of their flavor profiles, and a lot of ginger and refreshing flavors. I tried to make a mapo tofu a few weeks ago for the first time, and it went really well. I was following the recipe of Made with Lau, who makes really nice recipes. I really like them. They're really heartwarming and nice to watch. Really wholesome. And I tried to make it, but when it was time to add the cornstarch slurry, the pan was still too hot, so it solidified really fast, so I panicked and ended up breaking the tofu a bit, and then I was a bit sad because that was the one thing that they said was really important not to do, so I will have to make it again and try to redeem myself. But it was delicious. Super, super tasty. So good with a bit of rice and sauce and just, oh, really, really good. I love to grill salmon with lots of dill and then spread chili crisp over the top. Ooh, it gets into the salmon while cooking and tastes so good. Top it with lots of sesame and green onion. Oh, that sounds delicious. I might need to try that. I like to have salmon with like a bit of lemon and salt and pepper, which is very simple, but that sounds delicious. I might very well have to try that. Madam, my knees are falling asleep. No cares. No cares given. No mercy. Yes, you. You're very adorable, though. But yeah, that would work. Those flavors would work really well with salmon. That is a very good point. What is that expression? Sounds like we are halfway between a crafting stream and a food stream, and I'm here for it, honestly. Once in a different lifetime I tried to make a cooking blog, and perhaps it would have worked if I was not the kind of cook who just goes, and then we just add a dash of this and a dash of that, and we taste it, and it ends up being alright, and... Yeah, I'm not good about measuring things, which can be really challenging, because if you make something that people really like and you want to make it again, it's like, how did I... What did I do? How did I do it? That can be a problem. Make your own chili crisp from fresh, then you can choose the heat you want. I'll put a link in Discord. Takes time and effort, but so worth it. Interesting. I suppose there are some chilies that you can grow in Norway, at least in greenhouses. Madam, you are falling off. Come here. Yeah, I know. I am changing your sleeping position, and I am probably the worst. I love dill, but you can't get it here, and it's too hot for it to grow. Oh no, that is sad. I also love dill. It's super tasty in fish dishes, like... Bless you! Super tasty in fish soups and other things. It's so sad that it doesn't grow in... I hadn't thought about that, because here we also always have to do the consideration that we can't grow things because it's too cold, but of course it works the other way around, where there are a lot of things that don't grow because it's too warm. Are you waking up? No? But that sounds interesting. Cat sneeze jump scare. It really was. Can't hide it either. It was all there. Yeah, but you see, the more you stretch, the more you fall. Yeah, I know. It's very rude of me to be concerned for such things. Our garden is filled with dill. Yeah, ours would be too if I had one. It's really easy to grow here. We have to be careful with mints though, because they tend to take over and they're not supposed to do that, so we have to be cautious with all those species that wants to grow where they're not supposed to. There are some local variants of like mountain oregano and thyme. Love thyme. Sage. Of course, we don't have the sacred white sage of indigenous people. In the US we have a different kind of European sage, and that one is not protected, so I am allowed to grow and make tea from that, and it's really nice tea. It's such really great when you have a sore throat and you're having a bit of a cold. in winter. Super, super nice. So aromatic. Such a... I guess what people will usually call them is like a meaty herb, but like, yeah, a lot of flavor, a lot of everything. Madam is mildly annoyed that I keep moving her around, but also like too comfortable to really care, you know, when cats get like that. I really want to have a nice herb garden where we can grow all sorts of delicious things. I was super surprised. Our lavender actually overwintered. Usually, I've always been taught that it's too cold in Norway for lavender, but I guess maybe it's changing, especially in the south. And I suppose there could be different types of lavender, but she actually survived in the little flower bed we have outside. So that is fun. The bees love them. It's always a lot of fun to watch them go. There's also a maple outside of our kitchen window that is really big and really old. And now in spring, before there are a lot of flowers, and the maple is flowering, you can walk underneath it, and it's just... How do I even... There's this enormous buzzing, as if the whole maple is an insect, is a hive, is something, because all the bees and bumblebees and the different creatures are drinking from the flowers of the maple, and it's just this gigantic buzz from the tree. The first time I heard it, I was like, wow, that is so cool. The big sagebrush here is wonderful for its antibiotic properties, and the different species smell so different. It's not culinary sage, though. It's also not the white sage of our First Nations. Yeah, so here it's the same. This is the sage that we get in Europe is not the sacred white sage. It's a different sage, so it's alright to use it. Which is nice, because I really like it. It's very tasty. I like to put it in soups and stews and all of the things. I also see some people take whole leaves and fry them whole in like oil or butter and have it on top of, as you know, a crispy topping, as you would croutons or other crispy toppings on top of a soup, and it's so delicious. So many good things to make. But yeah, I couldn't actually manage a cooking channel because I'm hopeless and never actually measure anything. Much like crafting channel, but it seems a bit more accepted in these parts of the world. But it's so cool to hear about all the different things that people have. I always wonder what things are supposed to taste like when I try to make an approximation of a recipe that I find online or anything. Goodbye everyone, have a good day, evening. Goodbye Kelly, have a good rest of your day, or whichever the day is for you. But yeah, whenever I try to like replicate a recipe that I see a video of online, I never know if I'm even close to the flavor that it's supposed to have, because a lot of the time I can't find half of the ingredients. So it has to be like, yeah, this is tasty, I like it. I have no idea if it's anywhere near what it's supposed to be, but it's tasty. We made an effort. Food, it is food. Food is food, so that is something. But I do think I too need to be leaving you a little bit earlier than usual this beautiful Thursday afternoon, because we are making a cake for the parade tomorrow to celebrate with some people, and we should be getting to do that before I need to go to bed. And I think there's just enough time to do that, and then we can decorate it in the morning. But yeah, this was nice. This was very relaxed and chill, and I have a good time. I always have a good time when I get on these lives with you, which is nice. And it's a reminder to myself to take a moment to sit down and just chill and craft as well. So what kind of cake? I have no idea what to call it in English, because I don't even know what to call them in Norwegian. It is a cake in a recipe book from the great-grandmother of my spouse, and I guess you could call it something close to... Do you have So in Norway we have something that we call sugar bread, like directly translated, which is just, beaten eggs with sugar into a frothy cream, and then you sift in a little bit of flour, and you just bake that into cakes, and it's a very mild cake. And then you take it and you like slice it underneath, slice it in 2 or 3 pieces, and then usually you do something like whipped cream and fruit, and you serve that. And this one is a variation of that. That is a fairly common cake, at least with old people in Norway. I am an old person in disguise, so I like it, especially with lots and lots and lots of fruit. That is how my grandma always made it, with like lots of raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. It's very common to have slices of banana inside. My grandmother would always use like orange juice to sort of moisten the cake, and that was always delicious. But this one is a variation of that. I don't know if it's an angel food cake, because that is a cake mix, isn't it? This is just eggs and sugar and white wheat flour. It's no rising agent, because the whipped eggs does all the work, so it's an old-fashioned recipe that is still surviving even after a time of baking powder. I think sometimes people add a little bit of baking powder just in case, but you don't technically need it, because the eggs do all the work. So it's a very bland, very mild cake base, and then you put cream and fruit in between and on top and in the middle and all over it. And it gets very colorful and pretty. And this cake is a variation of that theme, but in addition to the cream between the layers, it also has a chocolate icing, which I find a bit strange. I think that's angel food cake. Interesting, yeah. So it's a variation of that kind of simple plain cake. Some kind of Genoise adjacent. Yeah, I imagine there are many similar cakes all around, but it's a variation of that fruit cake. Oh, interesting. Would you call that a fruit cake? Because I don't know. I would associate a fruit cake with a cake where I put dried fruit in the batter itself before baking it. Whereas here you would bake the cake without anything in it and then take it out, cool it down, and open it up and put fruit and whipped cream inside it when it's cold. But I mean, cake, it's all sorts of weird things. But this one has a chocolate icing outside of it in addition to the cream, which the first time I had it I found quite strange, because that was not how I was used to this kind of cake in my head. So I sort of had to reconfigure my brain to this new way of doing it. But Spouse is having a lot of fun playing with that, but they might want some assistance, so I'm going to go down and do that, and hopefully I will see you again soon for more crafty shenanigans. I still have more repairs left to do on these jeans, so maybe we'll just have a string of lives where I don't make anything new, we just mend things. Or maybe I get tired of mending things and we knit a bit on the shawl. Who knows? We shall see how things goes. But anyway, have a lovely rest of your day, have a lovely week, have a lovely all of the things. And yeah, fruit and chocolate can be a good combo. Yeah, it's just that I didn't associate it with this kind of cake. So it's a new thing for me, but it's a familiar thing to them. So it's cool. Experiencing new things is always cool. And different families always have different experiences. But yes, anyway, have a lovely rest of your week and all of the things. And we are having a new video on Saturday. There is one in the queue. I managed to get it approved, so that is coming, and then we will see what kind of lives we do next week. So yes, am I going to have any more scrap busting videos? Yes, I have some planned. I always have some planned, but they are they take time. As you noticed, if you're doing crazy quilting yourself, they do take a lot of time because tiny pieces, lots of stitches. But I have some plans. I have some plans that I want to try. But anyway, anyway, very nice talking to you, and see you all next time. Bye.